Great Lakes Prepping here. A few weeks ago, I saw a Harbor Freight ad in my Facebook feed for a Haulmaster 500-pound trailer hitch cargo rack. Apparently on sale for only $40, I was intrigued. I've considered buying one of these trailer hitch cargo carriers for years, but never really needed one enough to justify the $100+ they usually cost. If you're not familiar with Harbor Freight, they're a discount tool and equipment retailer. While they have physical store locations in several states, they also have a substantial e-commerce and mail order operation. Harbor Freight tends to have a reputation for selling cheaper stuff that's basically a crapshoot between being cheap junk and perfectly fine. The kind of place where you'd go if you need a specific tool that you'll probably only use once or twice. But for $40, I would be remiss if I didn't at least take a closer look. With over 1,600 reviews, 95% of which are 4 or 5 stars ratings, this thing started to seem worth trying out. So I ordered one at the sale price of $39.99, and with taxes plus shipping, it only brought my total to about $49. Considering the regular price of $59.99 plus taxes and shipping, it seemed like a pretty good deal. My cargo carrier was delivered about a week later in the original retail packaging. The packaging was minimal but adequate, and my cargo rack seemed completely intact and unblemished. Some assembly was required, but it was quite straightforward. The platform came in 2 halves, connected with a center support piece that also serves as the part that goes into the trailer hitch receiver. A handful of included nuts, bolts, and washers connects everything together. It only took a few minutes to bolt all the pieces together, though it would have been even faster had I not absent-mindedly assembled it with the center support piece upside down the first time around. Luckily, I have ultra rewind capabilities and I was able to redo it in no time at all. I reassembled the center bar right side up and attached the 2 upper support brackets. And that's it. This thing is ready to use. The packaging says it's rated for holding 500 pounds, and I don't have any reason to doubt it. It's made of pretty substantial steel pieces with solid enough looking welds. I like the red reflective areas on the back of the rack, though I don't know how useful those really are. So I plugged the thing into my truck's hitch receiver and gave it a little test. Right off the bat, I noticed that there's a fair amount of play in the receiver. The cargo rack can move around a bit more than I would have expected. With some weight on it, it probably won't bounce up and down too much, but it still wobbles side to side quite a bit. I'm sure it's not going to go anywhere, but I worry that there will be a lot of noise from it rattling around that will drive me crazy. One of the main things I've had in mind when thinking about buying one of these cargo racks is using it to transport my massive cooler. My cooler takes up at least 1/5 of my bed space, and it seems like the perfect sort of thing that I could strap to the cargo carrier instead. Unfortunately, the rack ended up not being quite deep enough to set the cooler in flush, and I don't really love the idea of putting the cooler in at an angle, even if strapped in. I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do about this. In the spirit of making a thorough video review, I took it for a test spin around town. I wanted to see just how much it bounced around. Though the GoPro I mounted to it picks up a lot of rattling and clanking sounds, I surprisingly couldn't hear any of this from the driver's seat. Being that my test drive was with an empty cargo rack, I can only assume that any bouncing and rattling would be less substantial when there is the extra weight of cargo sitting in it. All in all, I'm pretty happy with the purchase. I didn't expect much for $40, and I'm actually pretty impressed. I wish it was just a little bigger so I could fit my favorite cooler in it, but that's hardly the fault of the cargo rack or its manufacturer. So I guess my only real complaint is the loose fit in the receiver, though I observed no noise or vibrations while driving. I could always try tapping a small wood shim in there if I ever decide that the rattling is any sort of a problem. If you liked this video, hit the subscribe button and stay up to date on all our latest videos and gear reviews. Thanks for watching and for all your continued support, and until next time, this is Great Lakes Prepping.